Okay, thank you. Great. Wonderful. All right, so I'll say once again, welcome to this session. It's on marketing and promotion of rural and community transportation initiatives. And the reason that we chose this topic today was that there seemed to be a real interest from a number of communities around the province who are working on rural or community transportation initiatives to learn more about or to share information about the need to effectively market and promote either new transportation services or the expansion of existing ones. And so what we've been finding at the Ontario Healthy Communities Coalition over the last few years in doing work around rural transportation across the province is that marketing and promotion are really essential to achieving success for your initiative. And so this applies not only in terms of first implementing something, but also with respect to maintaining service and actually increasing ridership. And I'm really glad that Brad's with us today. And Brad, I hope you don't mind that I did quote you, because in the promotion you'll see that it said, when it comes to transportation in rural communities, the old adage of location, location, location for real estate becomes promotion, promotion, promotion. And so that's Brad's comment, and I think it's very true. And so I want to welcome Brad because I think he's the only person on the line who is not an MTO, currently a Ministry of Transportation funded project through the Community Transportation Pilot grant program. So Brad's a wealth of knowledge, and so I'm excited that you're joining us, Brad. Thank you. So in other words, promotion is essentially everything when it comes to being successful with a transportation initiative in a rural community. And there are various forms of doing that sort of promotion, but what's important is that it be done on a consistent and continual basis. So the purpose of our session today is to host a discussion on this topic so that we can share our experiences and create increased learnings and understandings. So I thought I'd kind of kick things off just by having I wouldn't call them definitions, but just a couple of points related to the terms promotion and marketing. The first one is just essentially that promotion is both a verb and a noun. So the idea of making people aware of something in order to increase its sales, its use or popularity, and certainly in the case of transportation, the use of a service. Or you could also devise a promotion or promotions in order to publicize or advertise a product, idea, cause, or institution. And then marketing is actually the action or business of promoting, selling, or advancing products or services. And so it may include market research, and that research would be done in order to get a better understanding of your audience or the group that you're targeting your messages at. And it's based on thinking about the product or service in terms of the customers or the user's needs and satisfaction. And so I'd welcome anyone to provide other thoughts about those terms, but I just thought I'd put those up there as a way to frame the discussion initially. And again, this is really a session for you to share, and so I'm only just going to say a few words at the beginning here and then turn it over to you entirely. But there are some topics that I did put out in the promotion that we might want to use as starting points, and these were just things that I've been that we've been experiencing in our work and hearing from people who are doing this on the ground. So, you know, we might be talking about the idea of promoting the need to begin with, the need for transportation, for public transportation or community transportation to exist in the community, because it doesn't now. So you might be making the case, if you're not a local decision maker, to local decision makers, if you're a community group, or building support from the community at large, if you are the municipality, for instance, or even to funders. We could also talk about logos and websites and developing a brand, and again, that could be for a single organization or for the coordination of two or more organizations, because I know those that are grant recipients are doing coordination in some way, shape, or form. And the websites could be for general information, or they could be complex, detailed, searchable databases, for instance, ways of booking rides and so forth. Branding, of course, is something that's unique, a way to identify and it visually distinguishes vehicles or stops, and you may have effective slogans or taglines associated with that, such as Catch the Trout, which is the initiative out of in and around Bancroft in North Hastings. And then advertising new or existing options again. So it may be an expansion of something. You may have a service that already exists, but you need to do some public awareness around the fact that some changes have been made, creating a communications plan or strategy around the fact that you have now one number to call if you've coordinated services, for instance. Or you may have changed the way that people can book rides. And then targeted or social marketing is certainly direct outreach that's aimed perhaps at specific segments of the population. So you might be focusing on seniors, or quite the opposite. I know some of you have talked about that the service originally was only for seniors, and now it's been opened up to the general public, and that people may not understand that. So you need to market that change. And social marketing itself is really about creating behavior change. So it may be that a service never existed at all, and you want to encourage people to start using public transit because it's not something that they're familiar with, as we know in rural areas. Or it might be around active transportation, getting people to cycle or walk in order to catch a service at a bus stop, or even ride sharing. And I know that Kate could speak about social marketing and ride-sharing in Haliburton. So again, these are just some topics excuse me, that I've put out there to help frame our discussions, and you may have others. So again, this is by no means meant to be something that we're going to follow. Really, we want to hear from you. This is your session. So I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to kick things off by asking you just to answer a poll that I've got. And really, I just want to make sure that everyone has a sense of where you may be coming from. So at what point are you at, the question is, with your transportation initiative? And you might be just starting out, and so you can just click one of these boxes. You may be 2 or 3 years into the initiative, or you may be just launching it. You may be 4 or 5 or 10 years along, or more than 10 years into it. And again, I'll let you decide how you want to frame that, whether it be from the starting point of planning it, or if you're expanding something that already exists. Okay, so it looks like most of you are saying that you're starting out. You can also change your your answer if you need to. And then yeah, we've got a couple that are 2 or 3 years in, a couple that have been doing it for 5 or more years. Yeah, and generally my experience is that there aren't a whole lot. There are only a handful in the province that have been doing this work for more than 10 years. So that's great. All right, so thank you. So the next slide I've got really are some questions that I thought I could put up that we could start to answer if you want to, or you could just start speaking. Excuse me. They're essentially things that we might want to explore in terms of the who, what, where, when, and why. So how have you communicated about your initiative, what approaches you've used, whether or not you've experienced any challenges in implementation, and I'm sure that everybody has, how you might have addressed them, what have been some of your successes, any unexpected opportunities that came around that were important to the results, and what have you learned that you might offer others, and whether or not you have any tools or resources that you'd like to share or recommend. So I'm going to just move us to we'll focus maybe on the first part if you want. So I'll just open up the lines and see if anyone's raised their hand because they want to say something. I'd be happy if anyone from Haliburton or Georgina or Norfolk wanted to kick things off, for instance. I can see that Jeannie's typing. Maybe I'll just ask that. So how have people started communicating their initiatives already? What sort of approaches have you used, and why?
Can we just speak out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we are from, it's Eleanor Morton from the City of Hamilton, and the rural transportation has focused on the outer areas, the outer rural communities, because they do not have the transportation needed for seniors. We focus on seniors shopping bus, and they're well seniors, and it is a partnership with DART. So they need to be ambulatory. It's an outside program of DART that these are well seniors but have no transportation to social or shopping. So we have marketed it in the rural area through the local newspapers and we're targeting seniors because they are more apt to read a local newspaper about such a service. It's been very frustrating because it's great. It's easy to get a program started, but it's more difficult to get people to latch onto the program.
Great.
So as I say, we are very targeted at seniors, but we are open to people who are isolated and still have no transportation. So our boundaries are not cut dry. Basically, it's just to assist people who are isolated in our rural areas.
All right, thanks, Eleanor. That's great. I think I saw Kathy and Brad with their hands up, but they're... Oh, wait. Okay, Erin? Do you want to go ahead? I'm not sure if you might be muted, Erin, if you're speaking.
Oh, here we go. Is that better?
There. Okay, yeah, there you go. Go ahead.
So we are a curbed address to bus stop project at the moment. It's a $1 ride. We have used mail drops across both Georgina and East Gwillimbury. So we've done a postcard out to everybody. We've been on the local television station on several programs. We've done local radio. We've also put ads in the local papers, and the local papers have done articles on our new program. We've done community presentations and are really trying to get this new $1 ride program out there.
Great. Okay, thank you. So that's York Region. And then I see Brad's got his hand up.
Can you hear me there, Lisa?
Yes, thanks, Brad. Go ahead.
Excellent. So when we first started off our program here, we were really focusing on those who were obviously going to be having issues with transportation. So we focused marketing through a lot of the agencies that support these people, everything from our Ontario Works office and ODSP, community living offices. So what I would do is I'd go and do presentations right to the staff, explaining the service, how it's going to work, and how they could use it. Also going to senior centers and even senior buildings and senior residents and doing presentations. We'd walk right through a day on the bus. So if you wanted to go from your building, what time do we pick up the bus? Where's the stop? We're going to take that up to Walmart. We get an hour and a half of shopping. We're going to pick up the bus here again, and this is what time it'll have us back. So really specific, almost one-on-one stuff with people. A new approach that we've taken this year as well is we've latched on with our tourism community and really been using the bus to promote tourism in the area. And what's great about that is there's tons of tourism marketing opportunities to kind of latch on to. So all their brochures and pamphlets, the cottager packages, we're able to put in schedules, put in information about that, and promote the service that way.
Great. And how are you finding that? It's been worthwhile? Like, are a lot of tourists riding it, or is it promoting it beyond tourists?
Yeah, certainly.
Well?
We had a huge pickup this summer with the tourism population, because once we got promoting it to the tourism, areas, and those people, that a lot of the industry in the area, a lot of the businesses that focus on tourism jumped right on board. So they started advertising on the bus. They started really pushing it. They were buying bulk tickets for their customers even, so that if you came and had dinner at this restaurant, you'd get a bus ticket back, that type of thing. So we found all sorts of little packages and ways that we can link in with different industries and that too, because the more people get on board, the more support you're going to get behind it.
Oh, so that's interesting. So it actually increased your advertising revenue.
Yeah, it was a fantastic opportunity for that, for the advertising revenue. And again, just the promotion. A lot of the businesses were asking for bus stop signs right on their properties. We were dropping off bus stop signs for them, so right in the parking lot there it was, and they could see it, people could see it, and we had the schedules all posted right there too. So it was a really good opportunity to really engage the business community on a service that was more social service based originally, but it's certainly expanding.
Wonderful. I don't know if I'm going to keep going down because I can see other people have their hands raised, but if other people have done anything similar to that, the other thing that struck me were the community presentations and that one-on-one sort of detail, and I can see Erin's commented on that. Maybe I'll turn it over to Irina now because I see she's got her hand up.
Hi, I'm off mute. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. Our project, the one that's funded through the NCO grant, is a little bit different because we're developing a collaborative portal. So our target audience isn't the general public. It's actually clients of those agencies that have signed on to our portal project. So we're not, in terms of our marketing and promotion, we're not doing, to the general public. What we're doing is working with those agency partners, and they will be promoting this partnership opportunity to their existing clients. So our focus is a little bit different than what we've heard so far, but I mean, what has been key for us 100% has been that engagement with our agency partners. We have 4 signed on currently, and then we've got a couple on deck that are very interested in this as well as it gets rolled out. So that's where, for us, we've been identifying our target audiences as we've been developing the project, and even before development, even in the planning phase, is understanding with those agency partnerships, we have their clients, we have the staff at the agencies, we have their board members, we have their management teams. So we have a number of different audiences, so that we needed to have some targeted communication about this portal around. So that has been one of the key strategies for us, and it's been very successful because, as I said, that partnership and engagement has been amazing. The other kind of pronged approach that we're having to our portal as well is for any people that are searching for transportation that aren't currently associated to one of those agencies. We've actually partnered with our 211, our Community Connection 211 here in Simcoe County. Yeah, so they're on board as well. So for anyone that calls 211 looking for transportation, they're able to search through and provide a referral to one of those agencies and say, these agencies do provide transportation, and they're and they're part of this portal project as well that provides some transportation connections as well. So for us, it's those existing clients of the agencies, but then also anyone new, that isn't associated to an agency, there's an opportunity for them to get connected to transportation. And for us, 211 has been a great partner.
Great, yeah, and 211 I think is, for those who may not be familiar with it, it's a sort of platform that, and there's a phone number, 24 hours, that provides information on social services across a region, or really around the province as much as possible. But I think that, from what I understand, the Hastings and Prince Edward area is also switching over to that. They currently have a bit of a social or a searchable database, but they're going to start working with the 211 platform as well. So that's a particular interest. And Irina, you're in Simcoe, right?
Yeah, we're Simcoe County. We're very closely associated to Muskoka as well, through our Lynn connection as well.
Okay. And so one of the reasons you're focusing on the agencies is because there are a lot of them then, I suppose. That, like, what sort of numbers are we talking about in terms of people that you're...
Oh, you mean the clients with the agencies?
Yeah, so you're talking about marketing to the agencies themselves as opposed to the riders per se. Right. And so I'm wondering how many people that might be, or how many organizations that might be.
So for the pilot grant, the program right now, we have 4 agencies that have signed on, and then we've got a couple that are looking. They're very interested, but they're looking more at a phase 2, coming on board in that respect. The agencies that we have, they represent a large portion of the geographic area here within Simcoe. because the way they're set up is they all provide transportation to their clients, but they don't necessarily overlap those geographic borders. They do in some cases. They're a little fuzzy. They're not hard boundaries, but one of the agencies provides transportation primarily in one of our biggest cities, Barrie, and the other one in the other bigger city, Orillia. So where this opportunity arises is for transportation for those clients that are moving, outside of those more local boundaries. Say they're traveling down to South Lake and Newmarket or even into Toronto for medical appointments. So that's where the opportunity arises for the collaboration. So it's for agencies, but it does represent a larger geographic area within Simcoe County.
Great. Thank you. So I think you had your hand up, Kathy. I don't want to pinpoint you, but it doesn't look like you do now, so I don't know if you want to say something.
Hello? Am I
Yeah.
there? Okay.
Oh, sorry, you were on mute. Yes, there you go.
I was on mute, yes, through technology. So we're in a bit of a different spot than those of our wonderful network here that have spoken before, and that is that we have actually been a volunteer drive program for about 27 years now. So the impetus for the MTO project for us is about doing things differently. So we are not up and running at this point. So I kind of struggled with what to answer as far as the initial question around kind of what stage you're at. So very established from the standpoint of a volunteer drive program in Georgina, which is a very rural, geographically vast area. It also struggles socioeconomically as well. And so, we're very established as far as that goes, but then we're coming up, designing a whole new way of doing things, and very much about really a lot of research and really looking at the gaps. And, we certainly have been filling the gaps for many years in one direction. However, we want to make sure that, there's a number of others that to this point we have not been able to necessarily, we can't do everything, right? So so that's where we're really excited, because where we're at is, again, that research element as far as really getting out, and we already have an extraordinary relationship with our agencies, with our community, as far as that goes. So there's a wonderful kind of a symmetry, I guess you could say, amongst everyone. And so, I've been talking about these different ideas for years, so many are already ready for them and excited, and so they're very, very much engaged. So it's lovely because, for example, YRT now has increased service in Georgina, which is fantastic, because that's yet filling yet another gap, right? So what we're doing is ensuring that, no one can do everything. So it's great. So our promotional piece isn't about necessarily at this point putting out printed material or getting more people on board. It's about really determining what still needs to happen. So very cool. We have a new database that we're working on. It's almost complete, and just some really great ways to partner with. We're creating a network from the standpoint of other organizations, businesses or agencies that have either non-utilized or underutilized vehicles. So we're bringing them into our network, and it's built on the document that we're all very familiar with, I'm sure, after writing the application to MTO around the community transportation, rural community transportation, so that brokerage design as well. And so it's very exciting. And so what we're then able to do is incorporate not only the needs of all the greater community as well as our extraordinary agency partners, but also to be able to facilitate some of what they need to do with underutilized vehicles. So it's a really cool place that we're at. So it's lovely.
Great. So yeah, the similarities in terms of Simcoe, working actually with the organizations, which I think a lot of the projects are about. But yeah, in some cases it's direct marketing to users versus the organizations and partners. Great, thank you. I think Amber has her hand up.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'm Amber. We have a unique situation that we're an amalgamated community, as a lot of you are, and so we're, 3 small towns fairly spread out, which make up Temiskaming Shores. So we're still in our early stages as well. We're not quite at our promotional stage. So In our area, there are not a lot of not-for-profit transportation service providers. There's only one. And so we're actually trying to bring together for-profit, non-for-profit, public transit providers, and we're really focusing on our older adults and seniors. So we're actually bringing together, our local transit system, because we are lucky enough to have the Timiskaming Transit, as well as Patient Transfer, which is for-profit, with our Home Support, which is our not-for-profit, Ontario Northland, which actually helps us get to the other cities around us, because we are quite isolated, and then the Canadian Cancer Society, because we don't have those facilities close to us. We work very closely with them to get cancer patients, especially older adults, to Sudbury and North Bay around us. So it's been a bit of a challenge kind of bringing these groups together, but we are at a point where everyone's quite in agreement on kind of where to move forward, and we are looking at a 1-800 number, but just with so many different funding models, that's kind of been our big challenge, to kind of look at how far can we coordinate and how far can we go with such different funding models and such different services. And with that, we're also doing this project in conjunction with our age-friendly community plan. So we've been out in our community. We've talked with close to 700 older adults, plus we've got close to 100 surveys filled out right now. We're just doing our surveys. And one of our questions is, how do you want to find out information? Which has actually been really insightful. So we're quite glad that we haven't started promoting our transit stuff yet, because what we're hearing will change the way that we market it. So what we're really hearing right now is we have two groups of older adults. We have the internet savvy, who really want everything online, and we have our very traditional, who want everything in the newspaper. And so it's giving us some really great information on where we need to head when we start marketing.
Yeah, great. I don't know if you can see the chat room sort of lining up.
I was
Irina and Kathy, or if you're busy talking, but certainly it is Amber, Irina, and so it looks like they want to connect with you clearly. And I have been in touch. I was in touch with Val, who's up in Timiskaming, about your survey. And this is one of the reasons why we wanted to hold this session, is because I know I've been talking to different people and sharing information, and I can tell already, like we're at 20 to 11, that we're not going to have enough time to get through all the stuff we could talk about. So it's nice, because this is, I think, the first session that we're having, aside from the teleconference that we had with general grant recipients that MTO hosted, where we could maybe get into some nitty-gritty, and I suspect that we'll want to do more of these and on different topics. But anyway,
and
so go ahead.
I'm going to throw a little plug out there. So if some of these other northern communities are doing some work with their age-friendly, or if they're doing some senior-related, we're starting an age-friendly Northern Ontario network. So it's a chance for people in Northern Ontario to talk about kind of what they're working on for their seniors transit, their age-friendly initiatives in general. Great. And so they can always contact me, and I can help set that up as well.
Great, yeah. And I know that here in Haliburton, for instance, there is also an age-friendly community plan that's going on, and so we've been in connection. They're not directly related, but we have people sitting on the transportation initiative here in Haliburton. There's certainly been ideas that we should be connecting with you around that. But anyway, I can let Tina and Kate speak to that. I just wanted to check that I didn't miss anyone else who's got a hand up. And I think at this point, I think everyone's got everyone's contact info. You might not have Brad's, but I can leave it to Brad whether or not he wants me to share his contact info. I'm sure you could find it right, Norfolk, because all the grant recipients do have contact info out there. But again, that'll be something I can help facilitate after this session. Maybe I'll just move on to the next question. I know not everyone had a chance to speak, but I'll let everyone chime in whenever they feel like it. Again, just reminding you to raise your hand or type into the chat box. So one of you or two of you expressed a little bit about challenges. I was maybe going to just put this forward so you can have a chance to say a little bit more. I like this picture because I know sometimes it seems like it's one challenge, but then there are a whole bunch of things connected to it, and so it's really maybe 4 or 5 boulders you feel like you're pushing uphill. So I'll just open that up. Oh, thanks. Brad's put his contact info there, and he's happy to bounce ideas around with anyone, and so that's great. Anyone else, feel free to do that if you'd like to do so. Jeannie's just asking if we've heard from Lennox and Addington, and I don't think that we have. So I can't recall. Is it Wilma that's from there? I can't recall who's on the line if they might want to say something. We're not hearing anything. In case you're speaking, you might be muted. All right, so I'm not sure, Jeannie. We'll go ahead. Oh, did someone just unclick their line? Okay. So people are sharing their emails. I see that Aaron and Amber, you have your hands up. I don't know if that's from before, if you want to clear your status, or if you have another question. Maybe I'll just put it out there and ask if people want to go ahead. Thanks. Okay, they've cleared that. And say anything about challenges. I'm hearing some clicking. Is there anyone?
So it's Amber again.
Great. Go ahead, Amber.
And so one of the other challenges that we're trying to overcome right now as we're moving forward is ongoing funding and how we can kind of keep the program going. It's been amazing to have the ministry funding to kind of get everything launched and off the ground and moving forward, but we want to make sure that we don't start something that's going to end abruptly as the funding ends. And so we're actually working with our local, the Northeast LHIN, and speaking with them right now because this is one of their priorities in our area, seniors transit, to see if we can work, how we work out our 1-800 number could actually be funded by them in the future. And so we're waiting to find out whether we are going to get that ongoing funding, and if we are, that's amazing because then we know the sustainability of the project.
Right, so that's great. And I know a number of people have interacted with LHINs, and some of them have had great experiences, and some of them have had some challenges, and the funding has ebbed and flowed. In some cases, there's been a lot of money, and I don't know if anyone else wants to speak to that. Okay, I've got Wilma's got her hand up. I don't know if you were going to speak to that particular thing, but go ahead, Wilma.
Hi, can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay. So we have a program, and we've had it before in 2012 for 2 years, and it's TransHub, and we are signed up with some of our agencies as well as the Central Dispatch Service for social services and mental health in our community. I guess some of the challenges we have is people to understand everything that we can provide for them.
Right.
You know, we're not just limited to medical appointments. We provide transportation for group meetings. So we have about 7 clients that go to a group every Monday, so we organize that for the caseworkers, which helps eliminate their workload because they just fax us a referral and we set it all up and contact the client and the driver, and they just know that we're taking care of it. But some of the agencies aren't quite sure what we provide, so that is a challenge for us.
Right. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts about that that might be helpful to Wilma. I can see, too, that Irene has mentioned that, yeah, they're working with their LHIN, another reason why Amber and Irina should connect. Erin, I can see you've got your hand up and you've typed in that you'd like to bring up the transportation of children. Okay.
Hi. From the beginning, we've had the issue of car seats and transporting children. Our project is currently using an MV1 vehicle, which is a smaller vehicle. It seats 3 passengers and a mobility aid. However, it's very unclear of child seats and transportation, and therefore we've also had to introduce an RBOC, which is a larger type vehicle, also into the program. That vehicle does not require car seats. So it's been really tricky in trying to find out liability of children transportation in smaller vehicles.
Right, and so how is that related specifically to your marketing, or like have you had to take a particular approach in terms of addressing that?
In terms of that, we are, because we're getting customers calling in asking about car seats. When we are dispatching a vehicle, we explain to them, no, we have to dispatch the larger vehicle to meet your needs.
Right.
It's something just of when people are asking, how do I transport my child?
Right. And are there different fees associated with the larger vehicle, for instance?
A larger vehicle is a lot more expensive to operate than a smaller vehicle. But once again, it's that gray area of liability in car seats.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so, I mean, and I know, like, I think we could probably have a whole other peer sharing session, to be frank, about school buses transporting children, like that whole kind of sector of discussion. But yeah, so I'm gonna flag that, and then sorry, and then maybe just given the time, I'm gonna move on to the next slide in case because I don't know if anyone had any other challenges they want to share, but I thought maybe we could even focus on some successes that might help with one another, given we've just got about 10 minutes left now. And I put this picture here because I know you may have had individual successes or you may have had collective ones, and there may be a role that may have been played by different partners and stakeholders in terms of those. So does anyone want to make some comments around something that you think is yay and great and worth sharing? I'm not seeing any hands. I mean, some of you have already talked about a couple of things that have been successful so far, and knowing that you're starting out, you may not have a whole bunch of things to share at this point in that respect. But
it's Erin again from York Region.
Go ahead.
So we just had a success where in the beginning, when we were plotting out how we were going to do the service, we really looked at the different social service agencies across the region, including some of the homeless shelters that are more isolated in rural areas that are not within walking distance of transit. So from there, we identified those social service networks that we felt could benefit from this program. We provided, once again, going back to what Brad was saying in the beginning of travel training and really connecting one-on-one. So we provided travel training to these social service agencies, and we're now getting feedback at some of these shelters that, the different men and women that are staying at these shelters are now using this service and are finding a greater freedom and ability to get out into the community, get out and visit different friends and family, and that they're not so isolated as before. So, I mean, ideally, this is how you want it from the very beginning of the planning stage, and it's great. We're getting great feedback from these organizations.
That's excellent. That's great. I love that. And I think, there's something that could be said for this travel training 101 that you're talking about, and so I could see maybe there might be some information that yourself and Brad or others who've done this kind of thing could share at a future date.
Right. I really feel like the travel training aspect of it, people can always read something that you put out there, but if they feel uncomfortable for a new service, sometimes you have to show them how to do it. And what we're finding, especially in these social service agencies, is once one person learns how to do it, they're now teaching their peers or their clients. And so it's through word of mouth at that point in time. So people are showing each other how to do it, but it's really stepping in and with the smaller groups and showing them how to do it just the first time so they feel a comfort level.
Right, great. And I know, again, I'm going to maybe call on Kate or Tina to say something because in Haliburton that was a part of our proposal, having a navigator to actually assist people in maybe even riding the taking a ride with them, that kind of thing. But I'll give them a chance to raise their hands if they want to talk more about that. And then I'll go back. Oh, sorry, Kate has got her hand up. There we go. So Kate, I don't know if you want to go ahead. I'm conscious that others have their hands up too, but Kate hasn't said anything yet.
Sure. I just, wanted to say that was sort of key to how we thought about the proposal and just the value for having that face-to-face connection. So there is coordination that there's also, information being provided through the website and through a 1-800 number, but also that coordination through Tina and that person-to-person contact that might be, taking people from, from their home and using a service, or walking them through using the, navigating through the website, whether that's of all the transportation options or using the Haliburton Rideshare website that we're also going to be launching at probably in another month or so. So that was really important for sure.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and Kate has a lot of knowledge around social marketing, this notion of helping people change their behaviors. So she's a wealth of knowledge. I don't know if she wants to type her info in there, in that department, if people need help in that way. Maybe I'll go back to Irina.
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to mention in terms of some of the opportunities and unexpected results and successes, because we've been working so closely with those community agency providers that provide transportation service. What they've ended up doing is when they start talking about making referrals to each other's agencies, they also start obviously talking about what kind of standards they have in place, what kind of protocols they have in place. And what's been happening is they've started sharing resources between each other's agencies. So things like consent forms, different types of forms that they're both using, different type of training that they provide to both their staff and their volunteer drivers. So we've been having, at almost every work group meeting, there ends up being these sidebar discussions around, well, how do you guys approach these situations, or how do you guys, approach these training, requirements that each of these agencies have and different liabilities and stuff like that. So it's been really great to see, because someone earlier in the call used the word synergy, and that's exactly what we've been seeing here in Simcoe County is, these synergistic partnerships are starting to arise and build up that network. So it's all contributing to a larger system approach when we're looking at transportation, rather than, agencies working solo, like just working in their own geographic areas. They're really starting to think beyond that and think using that system approach.
That's fantastic. That's great to hear, and I'm sure Jeannie and Barb are happy to hear that kind of thing, because if I understand correctly, that was part of the impetus behind the CT program funding, and so that's wonderful. And yeah, I think in other places where I've been talking to people that there's that similar sort of thing where you have these sidebar conversations, as you're saying, which really aren't sidebar conversations. They're integral, but they're not necessarily what's on the agenda while you're coming to a meeting. So that's wonderful. That's a great example. All right, I can see we've got 5 minutes left, and there's lots of stuff we could talk about and that out there. I'm just glancing at the hands again. I've got Kathy and Brad have got their hands up. Sorry, maybe I'll start with Kathy and then go to Brad.
I just wanted to kind of add on to 2 things. One, Irina, what you were just saying about the whole idea of the collaborative piece and the sharing of resources. So an extraordinary partnership that Roots has treasured for many years, actually the last 8 years, is with CHATS, which is a community home assistance to seniors, and they're an amazing organization in York Region that focuses on senior transportation. So the partnership that we've shared with them the last 8 years has been that we've taken care of all of their drives, for the bulk of their drives in the north. So in Georgina, so CHATS would, because again the volunteer drive program it can be a little tricky with the volunteers and so on. So we have been their go-to in the north, which is great. And as a result, so CHATS is a very large organization, multi-service age organization, and we're just, we're that little guy, that little engine that does, and it has been extraordinary because we have actually, proud to say we've shared information back and forth. So it hasn't just been the big guy, helping the little guy. It's been the fact that there's so much that we do because we are hands-on and we are in the community. And it's been a wonderfully respectful relationship both ways. So, always making sure that we're helping each other out and sharing the same values. And so that way you present that same front, right? So clients, it's a seamless service. And although that's a different project than our MTO project, so where our MTO project is about the greater community and that rural piece, because of course that's what this is all about, we are able to carry forward as well a lot of these, all these policies and just how we do things as a result of this wonderful collaboration that we've shared for so many years. So we are indirectly would receive funding from the LHIN simply because CHATS relies on us to do the bulk of their drives in Northern York region. And so whereas we wouldn't go directly to the LHIN, but certainly we were affected in that way. But and to the earlier point about the continuing of funding, like we can't go to the LHIN to help with following up this program, but we're certainly looking forward to any ideas that we can all share around what we can do, because this is, the launch pad that MTO has given us is extraordinary, so it's a matter of keeping it going.
Thank you. So I've got, I can't believe this, I've got the 2 minutes to 11, and I just want to be conscious of people's time, and I'm going to say this, because we're not going to possibly get through everything, obviously, and I know that Brad still has his hand up. I want to just say this. I think this is really just a bit of a teaser. We have a forum, in case you haven't seen the save the date yet, that the Ontario Healthy Communities Coalition, Kathy with Roots, Connecting Communities in Georgina, and the Rural Ontario Institute are planning for Tuesday, March 29th, and it will be held in Georgina. It's in Sutton. It's a rural transportation forum, and one of the topics will be marketing and promotion. So I think this has just been a bit of a teaser about that conversation, and I know we could continue this. And I can see Jeannie's got a bunch of questions that she's posed to people, and maybe we could collect those questions and bring them forth. We'd also be happy to do another session like this. There are lots of opportunities for us to talk about these kind of online sessions, clearly making them longer. So maybe I'll just say this, that I'm going to ask if you want to get in touch with me, if you want to hear more of this, you can continue to type into the chat. It's going to come to an end in a moment. And just I'll give a couple minutes just to Brad to say something, and then I'm going to have to wrap up the session. Again, it's been recorded, so we can listen to it again, and we could maybe have a part 2. So, Brad, I'll turn it over to you. Not to give you the weight of the last word, but.
Well, thanks, Lisa. I appreciate it. No, it's been a good conversation. I'd love to hear the whole travel training that people are doing. Just 2 weeks ago, actually, I went down, sat down with 2 ladies at a seniors building, went through our schedule with them, then actually went out and rode the bus around with them for about an hour so they could see everywhere it went. So it's definitely a way to get that information out there. If you target the right people as well, I met with 2 ladies, but I know for a fact that information has got through that entire building already. So it's a great system to use. It's definitely time-consuming, but worth it in the end. But one of the other issues that we ran into early on in our project, and I haven't heard anybody else speak about it, is public perception. Very quickly, I mentioned that we were a collection of social service agencies that got our project started, and we thought we were doing everybody a great favor by parading them in front of council every week when we talked about the bus service. What ended up happening is we were very quickly labeled the welfare bus, and then the only people that were using it were disadvantaged single mothers who were picking up their welfare check. And not only the public perception, but you can imagine who would want to be seen on that bus or waiting for that bus at a stop. So that really hurt us one of the things that we've done now to counteract that is in any communications that we do, whether it's press release to a media, reports to council, or even when I'm speaking to groups, I always run through some of our ridership information of who's using the bus, how many people are using it for employment, how many people are using it for medical appointments. We share some success stories. We had a lady that rode the bus for about a year on a regular basis to get to work, was able to save up the money that she could buy a car, and she no longer uses the bus, so as much as we lose that rider, it's a great success story for us. So when we can kind of take that other spin on it and change that community perception, it makes it a much more accepting service, because we definitely struggled with that for our first 2 years of who wanted to be seen on that. Nobody did. It was embarrassing to be seen on the bus. So we've had to change the way people think about it. Again, engaging a lot of the business community has been great. I mean, if these great economic drivers in our community are supporting the bus, then it must be a good thing. So it's kind of one of the issues that we've had here. I haven't heard anybody speak about it. I don't know if it's been an issue anywhere else, but it was certainly probably our biggest issue for our first couple of years. So thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, Brad. That's awesome, because I know, yeah, you're not the only ones who've had a similar experience. I know Trout's talked about that kind of thing. And again, you know, going back to this notion of social marketing, like helping people change their perceptions and therefore their behaviors is really key. And I think we could have a whole session just on that. I also just want to point out that Brad will be a panel presenter at the forum on March 29th. So if you want to get a hold of him or hear him speak more about this kind of thing, you have an opportunity then. Not only will that be an in-person session, but we're looking into maybe making some of the information available online. As more information comes available related to that, it will let you know. I can see there was a question here about whether or not the chat room will be available. Yes, what we'll put on the website will be the slides. The chat room conversation will be included in that, and then there will be the audio recording, so what we've been discussing. I will send a link for all of those things out to everyone who's participated within the next couple of weeks, if not couple of days. I'm on holiday next week, so bear with me if you don't get it right away. I'll aim to do that by Friday. Maybe I'll just take us to the end. You'll see that these couple slides that we didn't really get to in terms of other things that you might have to offer. But the final slide is how to contact certainly myself or HCLink generally if you want to learn more about other webinars and online forums and the consulting services that we have available. So I want to thank you all for participating. Thank you to Helene for the technical support, and I apologize that we've cut things short. I really didn't know what to expect in terms of this conversation. It's great to see you all participating and engaged, and it all depends who shows up. So yeah, by all means, send me an email if you want to keep this dialogue going or if you'd like other similar sessions, and we'll be in touch. So thank you again. And I think I just have a couple of final words to say that I'm going to just close the session, and you'll be given an opportunity to evaluate it with a survey that will pop up immediately after. But you'll also receive an email so you can complete that survey at a later date when it's more convenient for you. Thank you again, and have a nice day. All right, take care.
Thank you.